All right, here we go. Welcome back to the channel. So, super exciting episode, a new style of episode because we have Ben here with us today. So he's going to be filming everything. We're going to be going into the gym. So it means I'm not going to be getting some terrible lighting, terrible footage from in the gym. We're hopefully going to be able to get some good shots. And the plan today is to literally take you through what my pull session looks like. So we're going to be doing pull. We're going to be doing a bit of a physique update if we can find somewhere to do it. And then I'm going to be telling you about the plan going forward. So as of right now with this photo shoot prep, I am 18 weeks out. Now, by the time you come to watch this, I might be 17 weeks out or even 16 weeks out. But as of sitting here right now, 18 weeks out, we're currently about 9 kilos down since we started, probably got another 9 kilos to go. So we're about halfway in terms of where we want to be. Starting to see some real change coming now. So we're getting to that point where it's getting pretty exciting. We've seen changes every single week and improvements in the gym and everything like that when it comes to seeing new striations, new muscle definition. So what you'll notice with my pull session today is that I do things a little bit differently at the minute when it comes to my training. I tend to put arms right at the start of my workouts, which isn't what most people tend to do, but there is a reason for that, and I'm going to go into it as we go through the workout. But basically it's so I can try and grow my arms a little bit more. My arms, my shoulders are definitely the weaker areas for me, and I think because I've always put them at the back of a workout, I tend to go into them a little bit half-assed, certainly with arms. So we've started chucking them towards the start of the workout. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, give you some tips on how to do that yourself to hopefully improve how quickly you can grow your own arms. So we've just had a coffee, we're going to jump in the car, we're going to drive across to the gym, and we are going to get going with my pull session. So this is bad practice really, because normally I'd have this pre-workout like 20-30 minutes before I come. Look at having to use a plastic end at scoop, so that by the time I get here it's kicked in. But given that we've just been at the coffee shop doing a bit of filming and chatting and planning, I've not had a chance to have it. So we'll have this now and then it'll probably kick in by the time we're done, which is useful. But there you go. No cheers. Chin chin. First up is cable bicep curls. Now, like I said, I've started actually doing my arm work before anything else. So on a push workout, pull workout, and upper body workout, I'll do my arm work first, because I've always sort of said that my shoulders and my arms are my weaker areas. Now that could be a genetic predisposition to doing that potentially. In reality, what it probably is that A, I don't really enjoy training arms, I find it boring, and B, I've always trained them at the end of a workout. So by the time I get to actually doing them, I just can't be arsed. The effort's not as good as it should be, and I've probably not trained them as hard as I've trained like my back and my legs and things like that. So we've switched that up and we've actually started putting all my arm work at the start of the workout so I can come into it fresh, I can prioritise it a little bit more, go into it, give it more effort, and hopefully start growing my arms and my shoulders much quicker than I have been doing in the past. We're starting on the cable bicep curl. We've got our 2 sets, 2 mechanical drop sets. So I'll start quite far away, bias the bicep in a shortened range, and then I'll move closer to the cable for a bit of a drop set to bias it in the lengthened range, and then we'll go on to a little bit of a bicep tricep as well to really get them going before we then move on to the main bulk of the pull workout. You could argue that doing my bicep work first before pull is going to take away from my performance and strength in your back sessions and your back exercises, but in truth my back's probably one of my stronger areas, so I would rather take that hit on the back work for now to be able to bring my arms up to match a little bit more. So set up for this, take a few paces back. We want arms out nice and straight, and we're going to be curling the bar up to our head, and the movement should be hardest here at the top of the rep where the bar's here. This is where we're wanting to emphasize where that movement feels difficult. We'll keep the weight the same, so it's a mechanical drop set, but we're keeping the weight the same, standing over it, and then the movement now should be a little bit harder in a full stretch position here and through the midpoint, and get easier at the top. Like, just completely flagged on those last few reps here. I got like some half reps out. I never find bicep work enjoyable at all, which is part of the reason why they've always been such a weak point. It's fucking boring, but it has to be done. I don't know what it is about them. I've I've always wanted big arms, I've just never been asked enough about doing it to actually get them. So, but that is why we've swapped it around now, to really try and bring them out and help grow them quicker. And it has, whether it's psychological, probably is more than anything, they do seem to have responded quite well. So I did have a posing session the last week, first one ever, completely out of my comfort zone, but something I wanted to give a go. Learn some new skills, and whether he was just being nice or not, did actually say they have started to develop quite a nice peak. So we'll take that. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but we'll take it. Second exercise, we're a bit of a tricep. So we've got standing bicep curls, standing hammer curls, standing pronated curls. I did actually steal this off of Jake that I do the podcast with, so if he does watch this, doubt he will, but if he does, credit to Jake for giving us this idea. This is just to finish biceps off. There isn't tons of volume, like 2 exercises, taking them to pretty much failure on a few different sets. But that's because I literally do arms 3 days a week now, so I don't need to be doing loads of volume in each session. So we've got a few sets of this, show you through them, and then we're on to a bit of back. So single arm standing row. So this is the first back movement I tend to quite like, quite a lat focused one. I personally quite like this. In a stud position, I do feel quite stable, and just doing it single arm allows me to really focus on driving that elbow down into my hip and twisting into that movement to get a look. You could do so to get a good lat engagement. Normal start on this, it's just 2 straight sets. We'll do a top set of 8 and then a back off set of about 12 reps. See how that feels, and then we'll go into a cable pull down for a bit of a higher volume set. But yeah, do quite like these, so we'll jump into a couple of warm-up sets on this to get the lats going, to get a feel for it. And I do like to get a real full stretch on the bottom of this movement, so I'll let my shoulder roll over, get a full stretch like I'm reaching forward, and then drive the shoulder back and elbow down to my hip. That's warm-up's done, so we'll go into a top set now. So I tend to try and work at around 80 kilos a side and aim for around the 8 rep range. So we'll see how that feels. Obviously, having been in a bit of a deficit now for 8 or 9 weeks, physiologically things shouldn't be different. Psychologically it is a different game. Sometimes you go in feeling a bit weaker, even though physically I'm probably capable of doing the exact same. So there is that side to be cautious of, but I do still try and keep the weight up as high as I possibly can and keep pushing. Basically, the same training I was doing before the diet to build muscle, I'm still doing now to try and maintain it. So we'll see how we get on with this next set. I'm glad I don't have cardio to do today. So that's currently in at 1,700 calories a week, which basically just means I have to target to burn 1,700 calories a week from cardio, whether that's on a piece of cardio equipment like a Stairmaster, a bike, or whether that's going out for a run, which I never do. So I'll pretty much just do it on the Stairmaster just because it does it quicker, it gets it done and dusted, and I'm spending less time there. So that is at the point now where 1,700 isn't a lot. It works out at pretty much 2 hours a week of cardio, which isn't loads, but it's starting to get to that tipping point now where I have to consciously plan ahead when I'm going to do it and work it in from a timing point of view. But it is what it is, it's just part of the diet. Just got to get it done and keep going, because no doubt it's going to go up before now in the shoot. Single arm row's done, onto the pull down now. So for this, we've actually started messing around with a different style of rep ranges. So I'll do a couple of warm-ups and then we'll do a Dorian Yates style set or a DY set. So it's literally going to be one set, one working set to complete failure. So it'll be a chosen weight, I'll get 8 to 12 reps, then I'll do 2 rest pauses, so I'll have like 5 seconds rest, back in as many reps as I can, 5 seconds rest, back in as many reps as I can, then I'll drop the weight as many reps as I can, and I'll drop the weight again as many reps as I can. So it's like one big set, just a total failure, and then it's done. So I've just been experimenting with this a little bit more recently, just to play around with that training to failure, instead of just like strict repetition ranges. You'll see what this looks like. It's a bit of a killer of a set, to be honest with you, but I do quite like it. You do get a really good sort of burn and pump in your lats. Like with any pull down, even though this is on a separate cable system, so you can do it a single arm, the focus here is literally, again, lat based, and it is literally driving that elbow down to your hip. Now, you don't want to do that at the detriment, so you'd only come down to about chin level, where your elbow can get nice and close to your hip. Any lower down than that, what you might find sometimes, especially on a straight bar, is people will come down too low to the chest and the shoulders will start to go up. And if that happens, you tend to stop engaging your lats quite as well. It tends to then go a little bit into other areas. So you want to make sure when you're doing this, shoulders back and down, chest out, and drive the elbow down towards your hip so you get a nice squeeze. Straight arm pull downs, normally we'll do these last and use them as a bit of a finisher for lats, but seeing as though other things are taken at the minute, we'll just jump onto them and get them done, because we don't really want to be stood waiting around. So literally just got 2 sets, 20 reps, just to get a nice finisher on lats going. So nice straight arms, driving the elbows down to the hips, trying to bring the chest through as that elbow comes down. Probably tell those reps like they weren't perfect towards the end, didn't get a full range of movement, but I would always rather, certainly in a finisher like this, start or end that set doing partials and just getting out whatever range I can that's left, instead of just stopping when I can't do a full range, because you're probably leaving some progress on the table there that you don't want to miss. So certainly on smaller muscle, sort of more isolated exercises like this, I think going to failure is a bit of a better idea. So next up is T-bar row, so upper back. So with this I tend to glide quite an overhand grip on it, and then focus on driving my elbows up and out, and then somewhere between my sort of shoulder and my hip, about 45 degrees, driving out in that sort of path. So we've got 3 sets on this. We've got 2 heavy sets of 7 reps, or as close to 7 as we can get, and then we've got a back off of 12 on here. So we're going to do a couple of warm-ups, and then we'll jump into the working sets. Feels heavier than usual. It's probably because we've done it a bit later on in the workout. Good point to make on that is, I think it's easy to get caught up in your own head about chasing the weight, sort of trying to match what you did last week or beat it the week before. Obviously over a long period of time you'd want to see that linear progression up, but really week to week you've got to sort of check in with yourself and be like, okay, if it's feeling heavy today, don't worry about what weight you're lifting, because at the end of the day what's more important is how much effort you're putting into that. So if you're going into that set and you're giving it 10 out of 10, whether you're lifting 40 kilos or 35 kilos, if you're giving it 10 out of 10, you're going to get some good sort of hypertrophy response from that. So it's important not to get caught up in your own head about not matching your weights all the time, and actually just focusing on putting as much effort as you can into that set, and you should still get some pretty good result from it anyway. So we're going to finish up on 2 sets of the single arm cable pull down, and what we're going to do for these is something I've been messing with a bit recently, which is lengthened partials. So we're going to do a full normal set, 10 reps. As soon as I've done the 10 reps, it's almost like a reverse drop set. I'm going to increase the weight, and then I'm going to focus just on getting some heavy partial reps in that lengthened position to see if we can fully tire out the lat. More than anything, just something different, trying out something new, seeing if it works, seeing how I find it. If I do, great. If I don't, we'll move on to something else. Yeah, I think they're going to get a bit of getting used to. Like, I've only just started doing them, quite new research on them. So it's one of those, like, I'm not tied to anything. I'll give it a go and I'll sort of be like, do it for a little while. I'm like, A, is it making a difference? Do I feel like it's getting a result? And B, do I enjoy doing it? If it's yes to both of those things, I'll keep it in. If it's no to either of them, I know I won't bother, because at the end of the day, if I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to do it. So, but they feel all right. I think it's going to take a bit of time just getting the weight right on that second load. I think a little bit too heavy maybe, because I only literally got like 2 or 3 reps. So drop it down slightly, but they felt quite nice. So we'll see how we get on with them. Okay, so that was my current pull workout. That is literally what my pull training looks like. We'll probably keep doing these once a month, and we'll go through my push session, my leg session, my upper body session, and I'll try and cover a different topic each one, maybe around how to grow different muscle groups or engage different muscle groups, that kind of thing. And if there's anything you want to see, obviously just drop it in the comments below. Now, we didn't get to do some physique updates after the session because the little area that we were going to use for it was being used by someone else. So what I'm going to ask Ben to do is throw up my video from my check-in pictures this morning. So I actually checked in with my own coach this morning and did a check-in video there, so you can see what my physique is currently looking like, either somewhere up here or maybe somewhere up here. And you can see pretty much that, like, we're starting to see more detail coming out. So like my midsection, which is generally the last thing for me, is starting to come in a little bit. Chest is getting a bit more shape. My back's looking a bit leaner and leaner, and legs are looking pretty good as well from a conditioning point of view. But again, legs and back for me, they don't really tend to go out of condition that much, and they tend to come back in very, very quickly. So we are starting to see more progress now, and it's getting to that exciting part of the cut where every single week you see more and more change, which is cool. So that's where we're currently at the minute. The plan for the next few weeks is probably going to be pulling food down, surprise, surprise, a little bit more and adding in a bit more cardio, especially this weekend. I'm actually in Edinburgh for my brother's stag do. So this is one of the events that we'd had planned out from the start of this that was going to be a bit more of a relaxed event, so I can go and enjoy and make the most of it. So we'll probably be pulling food down either side of this event at the weekend just to make sure it's doing minimal damage. And then we'll keep pushing on as we are. Where we're currently sat now, we've dropped 9 kilos in the first 9 weeks. Like I said before, we've probably got about 9 kilos left across the next 18 weeks. So we are massively ahead of schedule in terms of the shoot, which is where we want it to be. We didn't want to come into it chasing our tail and having to really, really push for the last 4 to 6 weeks to get into condition. We wanted to get ahead of ourselves, and then we could always either take a little diet break along the way or just start eating more food back into the photo shoot and maintain condition. So we'll see how that goes, and you'll be kept up to date with what the plan is as we go through there. So if you enjoyed that, and if you want some more tips on how to program your own training plan and what to look for, there's actually a full podcast episode that me and Jake have done exactly on how we write training plans for ourselves and for other people. What we look for, how we structure them, what we include, everything like that. So if you want some more of that information, go and check out this video up here and just click on that to listen. And apart from that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this new style of video. Don't forget to comment, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time for the next one.